This is October 27th, Thursday. Yes, the last day we played was the 25th, so we skipped the 26th, which was the day we went to the rights, I think.
Right.
Right. Let's look at our journal and update. See how things are there. New on the 25th? Yes. Yeah, that's right, because that was the photo shoot on the 26th. What's the new thing here? We must not have gotten there yet. Oh, yeah. Pills. Yes.
Ooh, hers went way up.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because we were like, hey, we're addicted to drugs.
I don't remember her having such a low relationship with the rights. Did you see that?
I wasn't really looking at all. She doesn't know them.
Still, I don't know. I feel like most of them started kind of in the middle. Whatever.
He's humming the menu music. Moving on. The next 2 days rush by in a blur. Altogether leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and new unexpected acquaintances. Or friends? Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic sometimes.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
At midnight. There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something that I've grown used to.
What?
The picture he took of Hana when the girl was like choking her.
I
Is he gonna see that?
Probably. That's super.
I just thought of it. Okay, get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights, in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible to not hear about them when local news channels or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture. Other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows popular people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with, it leaves me no time to ponder over what happened to Isabel or Ash, or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like everyday gossip blown up proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband. I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he didn't have any good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though, she ain't particularly bad in the way press makes her out to be. A bit too forward for a married woman, maybe, but not as bad as what's on the tabloids. Not that I ever read those. Ashton would give me flack just staring at one. Rubbish, he called them once. I think he's just pissed because they often put the local police in bad light. Although, with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might even end up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practiced motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely as visible with a lack of light. It's the last one tonight for the set Miss Wright requested. Blah, blah, blah. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however. She was nice enough to ask after all, and was a good companion up until the awkward turn our little chit-chat has taken. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She just doesn't appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice and how she moves, and how most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these help. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the papers. I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all I need before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles with the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools in a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light on the tiny space. When I glance back, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
Her head is gone. That's not what I expected the photo to look like. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark. Like I did, apparently. It has happened before, loads of times actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
The memory clicks. One cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. Like a photo. There was a shadow. No. A woman. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a stickly pale color, rot in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brush it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And well, blaming this on the unusual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. Help me. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul. The same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's words about the mansion. With each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears.
Someone has to know.
Mm-hmm.
See, if we knew why Ash keeps telling... There's no way that he believes, though.
Mm-hmm.
But
He would just...
Hana's seen her.
Mm-hmm. Ash would just really insist that...
I would show it to Hana.
You see...
I don't know, because I feel like Ash is the one that might actually be able to do something.
Yeah.
But Hana would be able to confirm. She's like, oh my god, yeah. There's this crazy chick in my kitchen.
This is tricky, because yeah, it's like I can see, like, Ash is the one that would be able to do something, if someone could do something. Well, the thing is, I'm wondering, like, if we... I'm thinking also long-term, like, immediately, Ash is 100% just going to disregard it. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering if, like, if there's some type of long game where we can get multiple characters and eventually can convince Ash, or... I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I would agree. I think if there's anyone... Because he knows Ash wouldn't believe him. He would show it to Hana. I would agree, yeah. You want to show it to Hana still? Yeah, okay. Okay, come on, mouse. There we go. Show the photo to Hana. I don't have an explanation for what I saw yesterday. Yet. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs at the back of your neck or leave you wanting to flee or hide?
I have a question. Because it keeps jumping around in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Has she seen the chick yet?
At this point?
Because I thought that happened after the party, because they were arguing and she was in the kitchen.
Well... Yes. I mean, she'd seen her, like, in the mirror and just, you know, things like that, but wasn't, like, face to face with her until after the party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that it matters anyway now, but...
Mm-hmm. Finding a more solid proof than a person's smudged off face on a photo is the least of my concerns. Ashton will undoubtedly give me flack for saying that, or even considering Isabella's words and those silly tales about the place. The guy's a skeptic through and through. It'll take more than my account for him to give even a single thought. However, more than his opinion, it's Miss Wright I'm concerned about. Surely he must have felt something. She must have felt something if those shows on TV are to be believed. A touch of coldness in her neck, or maybe the feeling of being watched. That's what often happens, ain't it? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time to mull over how I'll go about warning her. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The switch light gives out a soft click, and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
want to take it?
In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. That is to say, rushing to a client I barely know's home first thing in the morning with news of a ghost lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and there's a bunch of bizarre-looking pictures of Miss Hannah I've brought as proof, too. So yeah, dumbest idea in the history of my dumb ideas, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Anslem Village at the crack of dawn with only my bike as company, equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take whatever I'm going to say well, no matter how nice or accommodating they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are, he'll laugh at it in my face for good measure, if he doesn't freak out at me first for not listening to his warnings. Still, that's a whole separate can of worms I'll open at a different time, seeing as I'm already standing at the Wright's front porch, waiting for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Miss Wright needs to know there's possibly nothing safe in this place. Warnings from friends be damned.
If only someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
I try to ignore the looming presence their large, ornate doors give off as I press the doorbell for the 4th time. Its shrill ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm, passing breeze. The first time I came to this place, I found myself basking in the silence it offers. Now the atmosphere is just heavy, packed with trepidation and tension. Isabella's right, it does radiate the creepy kind of vibe. And with the image from the day before constantly flashing in my mind, the unease becomes harder to ignore as each second drifts by. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the bell again. Another long second ticks by without anyone answering the door. If this fails, I can always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action either, but waiting here ain't doing me any good.
Something you said, like, when was the party and all of that stuff?
I don't think
I'd have to check. I think it might have, wouldn't that have, we got the photos. No, it would be tonight. It would be the 27th, I think. Oh, yeah, Friday night, that makes sense.
For all I know, the Wrights could be out of town. As luck would have it, just as I'm about to turn on my heel, a loud thump rises from the other side. It's followed by heavy footfalls and a string of very colorful expletives about one's parentage.
Didn't we have that bloody annoying doorbell replaced yesterday? That Irish giantess cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance.
Giantess.
And where the hell is... The hinds of another pale-faced prat is pressing their blighted bell. I swear I'll cut there.
The door swings open and a very irate Mr. Wright greets me. His partly rumpled appearance a clear testament to how early the hour is.
And who might you be? I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
I was prepared to face Miss Wright, their butler more so. But Mr. Wright, I don't quite know what to make of him yet. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he's directing the movers. Although from how exasperated he sounded then, it seemed like more yelling was done than actually the actual giving of directions. Needless to say, I'd like to believe those instances aren't all there is to the guy. Miss Wright, at the end of the day, did marry him. Standing before him like now, though, is a different story altogether. Despite the difference in our respective heights, he manages to make it appear like he is the one looking down at me, not the other way around. An apology instinctively forms in my mouth before anything else when he arches an eyebrow at my lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here. Mr. Wright, yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody you peasants all look the same to me.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter, I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today. Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
His eyes are sharp and expecting in spite of his indifferent tone. The very impression of someone whose sharp wits has served him well throughout life, the kind you have to carefully choose your words around. Disconcerting how a simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form of social maneuvering. I can see why Miss Wright would want to steer clear of it, if only for a short while.
Sometimes the only way out of the game is to be honest. I'm a friend of Hannah. I'm a photographer for luxury living. both of these don't sound like good answers to give Luke.
So, because Luke got very mad at Hana, I wouldn't say he's the photographer because he's gonna be like, ugh, you were like flirting with her.
I don't think he should say that I'm a friend of Hana, because then he's gonna be like, oh, you're the black fellow that I was being very racist towards in the dining room last night. See, both of these are bad answers, but you're right. I do think saying he's the photographer is the worst answer, because he's like completely all about like appearances, and the bigger reason that he didn't like Hannah talking to him was because he was the photographer.
Like he didn't want a photographer?
No, like when they were having dinner, he was all like, that's Negro person. He's a photographer. You can't trust him. He's going to go to his media friends and give them inside scoops about our marriage problems.
At the same time, maybe he'll be like, oh dang, I should be nice to you right now because you're the photographer and I don't want to give you any dirt.
No, I think with his attitude, if you say you're the photographer, he's just gonna go, good day, and slam the door in your face.
I agree. Let's do the top one.
I'm a friend of Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hana.
Sorry. I'm a friend of Hana.
Sorry, sir. I was just... You see, I'm a friend of Hana, and...
A friend of Hana!
Oh, he's just gonna laugh at it.
Yes, sir.
Oh no!
I think you'd have gotten pissed off with the other one.
His eyebrows shoot into his hairline at my answer. Although it swiftly disappears under his dismissive gesture and a chuckle at his heels. A small frown spreads across my face before I can stop myself. What I said has nothing remotely funny in it, yet here he is, hugging an arm closer to himself in a weak attempt to keep his shoulders from shaking.
Did I mispronounce something wrong? Or?
No, not at all. You didn't. My wife, has never mentioned a friend like you. That's all.
Black? What's wrong with you, Luke?
I suppose it's a good thing she's venturing out of the usual. Vultures and savages, all of them hiding under sheep's clothing.
I don't really get it, sir, but it's not really surprising she wouldn't talk about me. We just met yesterday during the shoot.
Uh-oh.
As soon as the statement is out, the amicable air melts away most palpably. His eyebrows crease into a frown and his posture stiffens. With how fast the atmosphere around us changes in merely the span of a few spoken words, I'm not quite sure what I can and can't say anymore. Like handling a ticking time bomb. Is this why Ashton wants us to stay away from them? If so, a part of me regrets not listening to him now.
Shoot. Who are you again?
Zachary Steele, sir. I was here yesterday from the magazine feature about your home.
Ah, that Zachary, the photographer. I remember now. Just when you think she'd be careful meddling around media types these days, she makes friends with one.
It was really just small chit-chat, sir. The usual. To keep things entertaining. The shoot did take the whole afternoon to finish.
Oh, I'm sure she was pleasantly entertained. She wouldn't be making friends with media types if she wasn't. No matter. She's her own woman. She can do what she wants so long as she doesn't do anything to ruin herself.
I'm uncertain if that was the right answer now. I'm on the fence.
Yeah,
it kind of went both ways. Like, yes, that was the right answer too. Oh, that was the wrong answer too. Like,
I don't know. He ended up saying, yeah, I was the photographer, so I'm not really sure what.
Yeah. I mean, we got a good laugh out of him, so that's why I'm thinking it might be okay.
Sure Miss Wright is aware of that, sir.
That she is. But we aren't here to talk about her, are we? What is this about today? The city's a long way from here. On pushbike, no less.
Pushbike?
I was actually hoping to talk to her.
Of course. Here for another headline, perhaps.
Not exactly, sir. I'm off work. This is for something else.
That's what they always say. The next thing you know, your face is in the front page of every conceivable scandal sheet going all the way to the ass end of Plymouth. You media types have such an insatiable taste for gossip. It's almost amazing.
There won't be any of that in an interior design magazine, sir. I can assure you that one.
Oh, you never know. Well-trained hounds have an uncanny way of sniffing out things no matter where you keep them. I do admire the passion, though. It takes a lot of energy for someone to leave bed this early, let alone knock at someone else's door at this hour.
Just tell him that there was an issue with some photos and you wanted to talk to her about them to clear up a problem.
That aside, unfortunately, you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment ago.
You could have just started with that. I feel like he's lying.
I have not an inkling where she went or when she'll be back, so you're better off.
Love, is it the neighbors?
Yeah, I figured that was a lie.
He stops speaking altogether, and the complacent expression he has collapses on itself. Slowly, he turns just as his wife walks up to him with a step too lively for comfort, a smile too sweet, to be honest. She's very likely heard everything her husband and I have talked about.
Going off somewhere.
I've got the few things I want them to transfer already. Marianne made this splendid arrangement for the music room and... Love, are you listening?
I thought you already left, Buttercup.
She musters a frown, a pout more like. The mischievous gleam in her eyes when she glances at me says all there is I need to know. I would have laughed at her antics if it wouldn't offend the other man. But as it is, it's better to let his wife have her fun without any reaction from me. I'm treading on dangerous grounds with him already.
Well, I most certainly have not left yet. I wouldn't be standing here if I did, would I?
Of course you wouldn't be, darling. But don't you need to be somewhere else today? Something with Marianne? Shopping, girl, things?
So we've seen him this whole game up until now, basically, but who has 5 buttons buttoned on their jacket?
I don't think the bottom one is.
All 5 of those are buttoned. And if you only were buttoning 4 of them, who has 5 buttons on a jacket? That's just weird looking to me.
He has a very long torso.
That just looks very weird to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
Oh, I'll be leaving in a few. Unless you want to join us.
Oh, no, thanks, darling. I'm afraid my liver is killing me today.
I thought as much. You needn't have to worry. I'll be gone in a few. It's just that I heard we have a visitor. What kind of person would I be if I didn't greet him before leaving?
A very gracious one, I'm sure.
Zachary, right? Zach? It's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, ma'am. I was actually looking for you.
Is that so? What for?
A huge display of unprofessionalism is what it's for.
Shush, darling. Let the man speak. I'm sure it isn't anything like that if he has to come all the way here, yes?
It's about yesterday. The photos you asked, I mean. The copies are ready, but...
My hand stills as I'm about to fish the prints out of my pocket. Pocket?
Packet.
A short second passes which strikes me... what? A short second passes which strikes me how I didn't think this through at all. Anyways, how I'll go about telling her regarding the strange photos or revealing this to her in the presence of another person. Her husband gazing over us like a hawk doesn't provide any sort of comfort either. And just like that, all the words I've been practicing to say on the way here inevitably falls stiffly out of my mouth. Miss Wright must have noticed my hesitance because shortly she gives her husband's arm a gentle squeeze, a tender smile gracing her face. Unlike the first, this one is meant to appease.
Love, I think Hansi might need some of your input for the final guest list. Could you check on him, please?
Bollocks! Why in all Luxborn do I have to be there? Doing tedious jobs are what he's being paid for.
Because if we end up with people whose faces you do not want to show up in our housewarming party, we won't be hearing the end of it. Unless a heavy dose of liquor's involved. You know what the doctor said about that. Please do poor Hansi and your liver a favor,
He can handle that on his own, Buttercup. And my liver is doing just fine.
I'm sure it is. But I don't know, love. I think I caught a glimpse of the name Mitch Lakes, was it? I think it was Mitch Lake's on it when I checked with Hansi earlier. You should see for yourself. It was quite a list.
Who put that blighted twat in there?
And that's why I'm asking you to look over it before I do so tonight.
Very well.
But even with that promise, he doesn't appear ready to leave. Short of passing through their doors, he stops and glances back at me, all without bothering to hide the distrust in his eyes.
Luke, dear, I'll be fine. Go back to your butler. I'm not some pregnant wife you have to worry about.
Sorry.
Fine. I have to go to that little ankle biter's career day later anyway.
Who's the ankle biter?
Their niece, maybe?
I don't see why I have to go there. Kylie's your goddaughter.
Okay, goddaughter.
And yet, she has you around her little fingers, darling. That's basically the same thing.
If he ever has an answer to that, we don't get to hear it above the heavy thud the door makes, and Miss Wright's own weary exhale after she's sure her husband is out of earshot. You okay?
Yeah, I was doing an exhale.
Oh. She's nothing but apologetic when she fixes her gaze back to me, and I can't help but return the same to her.
I am so sorry you had to deal with that. My husband can be a bit trying when he really applied himself.
It's fine, Miss Wright. No harm done. It was my fault for showing up here unannounced. And this might be strange coming from me, but he does have the right to be wary. The press can be quite vicious when it wants to be.
Caught unexpectedly, they'll pick you apart. It is not surprising why he acted the way he did around me.
Sweetie, if Luke treats every journalist who shows up here like that, I'm afraid we'll end up with a harassment lawsuit hanging over our heads sometime in the future. Vicious or not, some sort of finesse has to be exercised when dealing with them. I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too offensive.
Not at all, Miss Wright. Besides, I don't think an interior design magazine would be interested in who harassed who this week. Unless it has something to do with fighting over tastefully arranged furniture. But even then, I don't think our readers will be too interested.
Oh, dearie. You've got a lot to learn. You really have no idea how a single tattle can ignite a spark in a crowd. Of course, at the end of the day, it's still the thought that counts. It's still a lovely anniversary gift from my husband. No matter. Let's just go.
She doesn't wait for an answer and immediately wanders over a car parked some distance from us. Unsure, I find myself trailing after her. A chauffeur automatically opens the passenger side door as she nears, and she gestures for me to follow when she climbs into the back seat.
To... where are we going exactly?
I need to get out of this stuffy house for a while. Moving in, planning the party. It's starting to get suffocating in there. Luke and Hansi can have their fun while I'm gone. I don't care. I'm getting out because I can. Another minute in there and I'll drown.
My bike.
There are, of course, a lot of things questionable about her invitation. Why she's asking a person she has only known for less than 2 days in the first place is one. How appropriate this is being another. But the rest of it crashes the moment she shoots me an imploring look.
Please? I can have someone send it back to your address later. And it's just a trip to the city for some furniture, nothing more, I assure you. Marianne will be with us, and maybe you can tell me why you're here on the way.
Guess it wouldn't hurt. I might have to leave early, though.
Excellent, then. Hop in. That's what they often say, yes?
This can't be a good idea, but I really don't have any other choice, do I? Especially with the way her eyes light up when I agreed to it. In my pocket, the very picture of her remains faceless. A voiceless shadow hanging threateningly between us, unknown to her.